Hello everyone, what is up? CharmingMan93 here, and it's time we read another article. This is one that I was meant to do 2 days ago, but I never did because I'm lazy. So, this is by Vice, and it's written by Jennifer Schaffer, and this is about give your money to women, that hashtag, where they ask men to give money to women. And the title is, we spoke to Lauren Chief Elk, the woman behind hashtag give your money to women, about the power of cold, hard cash. And immediately we see a photo of two pretty good looking girls. Now, I ain't saying they a gold digger, but they ain't messing with no bro, you know? I mean, I'm not saying that they're gold diggers, but they're just not messing with no broke gamers, you know? Okay, that's enough of Kanye jokes. Let's read the article. When hashtag give your money to women started surfacing on many of my social feeds last month, I thought it might have something to do with the way in which women are underpaid at the office. You would be wrong. Brilliant, I thought. Give your money to women as a way of balancing out gender-based income equality. So basically, giving money to women that they don't actually deserve, that they didn't work for, is going to balance out income equality. Basically, I'm all for, the welfare state and shit. I'm a socialist of that kind. I believe in a safety net, so if people hit hard times, they're not going to die, and they don't have to rely on food banks and workhouses, which this fucking Tory government is trying to bring back. But I digress. That is not the way to do it. Cheap charity to people who are already rich enough as it is. If you look at those women, you know full well they don't need the money, but never mind. Let's continue with the article. Brilliant, I thought. Give your money to women as a way of balancing out gender-based income equality, blah, 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 blah. But the idea behind the hashtag was even better than that. Oh, really? Women were branding together to demand payment for all the emotional work we do that goes completely unpaid. The exhausting work of being a tolerant, gentle, nurturing, listening woman in our relationships with men at all times. Seriously? Really? Then that means you have to pay men for the exact same work. Men have to be tolerant, we have to agree with everything that you say, because if we disagree one little moment, one little thing, you will give us the cold shoulder for the rest of the day. And so what? Some people are gentle and nurturing. They don't have to be paid for it. And if they do want to be paid for it, why don't they just become nurses or, nannies or au pairs? But no, there's no point in getting a real job because, those jobs don't pay very well. Never mind, let's move on. Women put up with a lot of bullshit, so do men, and we have a science-backed term for it, emotional labour. Yeah, science-backed, sure. All humans have emotional labour. All humans have to do this. This is being a social species. This is what happens, okay? You don't have it. I don't understand why you have to be paid for it, but we don't. Never mind, move on. And as with any kind of labour, women are now ready and eager to get paid. You do get paid. You get paid the same amount as men, but it's all about how much work you do in a year or over the course of your life. If you don't get pregnant, you're rarely sick. And if you actually, negotiate as well as a man does, because we all know that women don't negotiate as well as men. That's just, I don't know why that is. It's just the case. That's also a science-backed thing. But, if you just did all the things that men did, you would pay paid the exact same as us if you were single. Because as we know, single women aged, I think it's 25 or over maybe, earn more than men. So there's a wage gap apparently. Well, let's carry on. In the words of Jess Zimmerman, men like to act as if commanding women's attention is their birthright, their natural due, and they're rarely contradicted. It's a radical act to refuse them that attention. It's even more radical to propose that if they want it so fucking much, they can buy it. Projection has never been so apparent in that one sentence, or rather two sentences. I mean, it's so funny. I mean, we have people like Jessica Valenti crying out for attention about the fact that she hasn't been catcalled a lot recently. And yet, apparently men are the attention whores. We're the ones who want women's attention. Everyone wants attention from everyone. Look, I don't see how it's a bad thing for men to want attention from women, yet it's okay for women to want attention from men. I don't understand. Why is that such a bad thing, Jess? Bitch better have my money indeed. Bitch better not get my money. Let's carry on. At the head of this movement is Lauren Chief Elk, an activist, prison abolitionist. I mean, abolitionist, shall I say? A prison abolitionist. Where are we going to put all these crazy psychopathic murderers then? We can't just let them roam around the streets. I'm against the death penalty. I am more in favour of, rehabilitating criminals, but we do need prisons. What you should be abolishing is the private prison system that you have in America, not abolishing prisons outright, unless that's what you are. But prison abolitionist is quite a vague term. And domestic violence victim advocate, only for women, obviously, not for men, She's also the driving force behind the viral hashtag Give your money to women, 5 words that practically begged the basement-dwelling men of the world to throw up their fists in indignation before slamming them against their keyboards. Of course, more, casual sexism at work here. And I can't believe this hashtag actually became a movement. But, this is the way the world works at the moment. And we get some quotes. Oh, that's so funny. I actually follow some of these guys on Twitter as well. Hi, Bagel. Hashtag give your money to women, and this is from Potty Mouth Gamer. Because they blew through it all and don't have enough dignity to get a job. Some of them, yeah, I agree with that. Not everyone, but let's continue. Bagel, hi Bagel. Women using the hashtag give your money to women tag come off as unproductive waste. Beggars whose only claim to dollars is having a vagina. Hashtag get a job. I can agree with that. Stephen Rockford. Don't hashtag give your money to women. Instead, feed a cat or a dog. The animal will like you and show some gratitude. I used to have a rabbit. Do rabbits count? Hashtag feminism is awful. You see, there's nothing wrong with these. Neither of these guys are basement-dwelling men that I know of. And they're not slamming their keyboards in indignation. In fact, they are offering some good points here, which they should be trying to refute rather than just, just go, pah! Sexist men who live in their basements. I mean, nobody lives in their basement. In fact, I used to live in an attic. It was really big and lovely. But let's continue. That's a digression. This kind of slime is hardly a surprise for any woman who's been on the internet for more than 5 minutes. Oh, really? Such hyperbole, so little time for you, isn't it? What is more surprising about hashtag give your money to women is the empowerment and community are spreading its way. You see, every time something like this happens, it's always empowering to women. But if a man made the hashtag give your money to men, we'd be called scroungers, we'd be called all the things that those men called those women, and we would be called basement dwellers with their mums and don't need to get a job. It wouldn't be empowering to us. It would be oppressing or just lazy. We would be called lazy if we did that. Yet with women, it's empowering. Why is it that there's double standards for men and women? Like, this is good for women, but not good for men. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, already we see that these people don't really view men as human beings. I mean, they're calling them slime, basement dwellers. They're not really seen as people, are they? Let's continue. Chief Elk has succeeded in starting honest, open dialogue amongst women and between women and men about money, labour, and knowing what you're owed. No, you see, with feminism, it's all the women talk to each other, but the men have to shut up. Okay? That's how it works. This is not an honest conversation. This is a hug box. This is an echo chamber, basically. There's been no fucking talk amongst this with people in my community. The anti-social justice warriors. I've not seen any of these give your money to women people coming over to talk to me about this. If you want to, I will be doing 100 subs thingy live stream. If you want to come and chat, feel free to send me a message and I will let you on for a couple of half an hour or something. Anyway, let's carry on, people. Theory and idealism have their place, but hashtag give your money to women has inspired women to demand recognition within the broken reality. Yeah, you know an awful lot about reality, don't you? When you find yourself in a system that profits off of you and has done so for centuries, it's time to state your claims. No, I'm sorry. This system profits off of men's hard work more than it does women's. I mean, men do all the dangerous jobs that most people won't do. We're soldiers. We clean the rubbish. We clean the sewers. We do all sorts. This world was built and profits off of mainly men's work, not women's. That is a lie. Women do an awful lot of shit. Absolutely awful lot. Like, I can't for the matter of me explain how grateful I am to the great women that I've met in my life. I honestly, I can't put it into words because you can't put that gratitude into words. But these girls with this hashtag give your money to women, no, I'm not grateful for these 20-year-olds. I mean, what have they ever done for the world? Nothing. Nothing. In an attempt to shed more light on this movement is actually about gold diggers. Vice spoke with Chief Elk about her work as an advocate. What a name! Chief Elk! What a name. Sorry, I just had to say that. That is a great name. Her reasons for starting the hashtag and the reality of an economic system that builds its wealth on women's unpaid labour, which is a lie. It's emotional labour you talked about. You can't pay emotional labour. It's emotional. There is no physical thing that you could possibly pay it for. Never mind, let's carry on. This is now an interview, so this is Vice. Hey Lauren, could you tell us a bit about your background as an organiser? How did you come to start the hashtag Give Your Money to Women movement? Lauren Chief Elk. I've been heavily involved in this kind of work since high school, so going on 10 plus years now, so you are in 20s. And I've been involved in rape crisis advocacy and domestic violence victim advocacy. Of course, all of it for women and none for men, of course, because, these are feminists, they don't give a shit about us. I also worked in organising and policy at the governmental level and non-profit level. Violence against women advocacy has been the centre of my life and work for my entire adult life and teen life. So you can see immediately that they don't really care about the problems that men have, only about women. So apparently we're the sexist ones here. Does your work, helping victims of domestic violence tie into the idea of give women your money at all? The hashtag came out of a lot of things. As a prison abolitionist and as someone who is thinking of alternatives to justice for power and gender-based violence, monetary compensation has been something that I thought of as a really good alternative. What is an alternative? Making people financially responsible to you, making your abusers financially responsible to you. So basically, the current suing culture that America has, but pump it up to 11. So basically, you want to get rid of, prisons, but when someone murders someone, you don't lock them away, you just get them to pay the victims. Most of these people won't have the money to pay for the loss of a loved one like that. You lock these murderers away for the crime that they've done. So you actually want to get rid of prisons. What the fuck, man? That is so stupid. That doesn't make any sense in reality. If you were to say, I want to abolish the privatisation of the prisons, I am all for that. That is the reason why there's loads of people in prison right now, not the fact that there are prisons. But that's beyond it. And by the way, immediately, this is a social justice bullshit at work anyway. There's not much to say in this particular part of the interview, so let's continue. The hashtag came out of my own praxis for justice in regards to that. So it's justice for begging for money from men. You already get enough money as it is. Yeah, apparently, you want more for things that doesn't have a price. Emotions don't have a price. That's actually very capitalist of you guys. You're supposed to be against this whole system, yet you want to put a price on emotions. Well done. It also came out of just thinking about what women have to do all day, every day. Whether that's in marriages or relationships or work environments. Anything really. The type of labour that we expect and required to do all the time. It's such a hard life, isn't it? First world problems. First world white women. They live such hard, oppressed lives. Not like that Indian woman who is struggling to make barely £1, having to send her kids to work when they could be having an education. So apparently, that is such a hard life, right? Apparently, that doesn't even weigh up to your life, because your feels are all, they're important, but everyone else, no. What kind of responses have you received from women? Honestly, it's been overwhelmingly white women who've been upset about the hashtag. I'm actually surprised at that. I thought that would be something else. Women of colour have been rejoicing in song over this whole movement. Sisters, why? But then again, I can't take her word for it. It has been overlooked by mainly white women who've been like, this is ridiculous, and giving feminism a bad name. What do you think you're doing? That is absolutely true. I don't have to say anything about that. It's been interesting to see the racial divide. I think this is an excuse. I don't think women of colour are so over the moon about this. I think it's probably about 1% of them are like, hey, I like this, while the rest of them are like, I just don't have an opinion, or this is wrong. So you're probably, I don't know, maybe this is from your Twitter feed. You know more, women of colour than you do white girls. So you're seeing this from that perspective. I don't know if I trust you on that. I don't want to make any assumptions either about that, because that's getting into murky waters, and I don't want to be quoted out of context. And here's a Twitter thing, and it's by Hurricane Nick, at Ginger Nick. Give your money to women. Women asserting they have value. Why is this rare? Why does it make you uncomfortable? Look, we live on a small blue dot in the vastness of space, right? We don't have as much value as you think we do. And I'm talking about, as by we, I mean the human race. You know, we're nothing compared to the universe. You're being really arrogant and really just vain by trying to say that you have more value than everyone else, which is really what it's coming to. You're just e-begging at this point. And anyway, let's continue. Why do you think that racial divide exists? Oh god, this is getting so murky. Well, historically speaking, white women are also the beneficiaries of a lot of women of colour's work, and also accrue lots of capital, which white men in this country have. Oh god, you know, women aren't some slave labour that men have benefited over the years. No, it's mainly men who do all the hard work and actually make the money, but never mind. I think it's on par with the anger towards Rihanna's BBHMM video, with Rihanna kidnapping the wife and people being angry, because she's a rich white woman. I think you mean woman. Even middle-class white women in general are beneficiaries of historical wealth in this country. These are the same women who were mad about the article on the wife bonus saying, this isn't feminism. Getting money from your partner or men is not feminism. All this kind of stuff is interesting, because they are the biggest voices about the pay gap and wage equality. I think these women have it bang on the money. They don't want to be scroungers. They don't want to be paid for work that they haven't done. They see it as exploitative. They see it almost as extortion from men who are already, you know, financially burdened as it is, you know. I'm not trying to say that, you know, men have it hard or harder than women. I mean, we all have it pretty hard, but, you know, I mean, let's be honest. They're right. This is making you all look bad. They're making you look like gold diggers. That's why I made that joke in the first place. Because you look like the type who would marry a rich person. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. You'd marry a rich person and then you divorce them and take all their money. Alimony works both ways. But anyway, let's continue. What do you think of the whole wife bonus debacle? The wife bonus is important. Women who are making their spouses' lives and careers their job should be compensated for it. What do you mean compensated for it? What, that doesn't even make that. They're just. I don't get it. That's stupid. Stay-at-home mums work multiple jobs. They act as cooks, chauffeurs, nurses, therapists, maids, personal trainers, teachers, tutors, personal assistants. And this labour is rarely recognised, especially monetarily. Wives should be getting bonuses and entire paychecks regularly. No! They're not doing work. They're looking after the house. They're not maids. They're looking after their own house. You don't get paid for looking after your own house. If you're an actual maid, you get paid for looking after other people's houses. This is not how life works. And by the way, the reason why they're not getting paid for it, and the reason why, you know, they have all this negative association is you feminists. You hate them. You want women, to quote George Carlin, have pointless careerism. That's what you want. You want women to be involved with pointless careerism. And they don't all work those jobs. What are you talking about? This is stupid. I'm on board with your cause, and it makes a lot of sense to me. It makes no sense to me and the rest of the world. Anyway, I think I need to probably talk about that racial divide. I refuse to believe that any good-standing non-white person, minority, whatever you want to call them, would agree with this. I don't think they would. I think they'd rather work for their own money rather than just get it, for, you know, out of nowhere for free. I think that's stupid. I don't buy her saying that, yeah, we want all this money. I'm kind of like thinking you're just trying to drum up support from that community, really. And plus, you know, it shows that these feminists, if you break away from the pack, you are an enemy. You are no longer one of them. Which is why these white women are probably going to get the internet mob on them. Mind you, it could happen to anyone, but I don't know. I don't want to talk about that any longer. Let's move on. I'm on board with your cause, blah blah blah, they said, but for people who are confused or angered by it, how could cold hard cash specify gender inequality? Yes, how can paying someone for doing no work specify gender inequality? In terms of this stemming from my ideas of justice, what we have to put up with and deal with as women is expensive. It's not expensive. There is no fucking price attached to it, especially in violent situations. Oh god. Oh, the appeal to the appeal to our emotions. Oh, we're getting hurt all the time. Whatever. Trying to get out of violent situations costs a lot of money. You need transportation, somewhere else to stay. You need to feed yourself. You need medical attention for the abuse you've accrued. For your children, you've got to eat. You've got to probably quit your job if you haven't already been sabotaged. What? Men don't get any of this. Men who suffer violence from their spouses don't get this protection. Women have this protection for free. They can go to a hostel. They can keep their job. I don't think the man would try and get them fired from their job. I've seen women try and do it, but never mind. I'm probably wrong on that. Very highly wrong, probably. But let's continue. This can accumulate to hundreds of thousands of dollars very quickly. So to think that financial retribution is some kind of absurd idea of justice is, to me, absurd. This is reasonable. This should be number one. I'm sorry. So you want innocent guys who've done nothing to pay for shit like this? Shit that they already get for free from not only the state but charities who are getting millions in donations a year anyway, because as Erin Pitsey says, it is an industry in and of itself. Yeah, men get like, what, in Canada they have one domestic violence shelter. In Britain we have a few. We've only got like one helpline and the rest are all shared or specific to women and other things. So apparently we have to pay for that? And that's bullshit. That is absurd. And it's absurd that you think that our criticism of you is absurd. And no, it shouldn't be. I just... These people. And then they quote her on Twitter. Hashtag give your money to women, because your baseline of thought is that women exist to be in service of you. That's why you don't view this as debt. Well, no, I don't see women in service to me. I don't. I'd rather service myself. I'm not the kind of person who wants to be serviced. Not really. I mean... I just... No, next. I just... Too much fucking hubris in that for me. What about less extreme situations where women aren't in explicitly abusive situations but performing a great deal of emotional labour? Emotional labour does not exist. If anything, it's just emotion. Everyone has that. Why is it just a female thing? That's absurd. And like they're trying to use these extreme examples as a reason to give women money, yet they've already got all that shit. Men don't. If anything, this is just stupid. Emotional labour. Chief Elk says the amount of things that women have to do, acting as a therapist to men. Men don't have to go to women to be their therapist. That does not mean... If I want to talk to my friend who's a girl and talk to her about all my shit, that is not me going to a therapist. I am just telling her things that's happening in my life. I could go to a man and do the exact same thing, and I have done. So should he get paid? Why is the woman getting paid? That doesn't make sense. Being an emotional support does not mean you have to be paid for it. Why should I have to pay for it? If I wanted to pay for it, I'd go to a private psychiatrist. I mean, I already pay for NHS psychiatrists through taxes and shit. But never mind. Let's continue. Absorbing everything that comes out of them with a happy face, swallowing our feelings to not make things more complicated, learning that if we do start voicing displeasure, that's probably not going to get a positive response. So basically, you guys, are you saying that you pretend to be supportive to men? Is that what you're saying? I mean, you're just like, oh, we're not going to be honest with them. This is a voice yapping in our ear. We'll just, listen to it for a bit and then, then we want to get paid for it because we don't want to hear these moaning minis all the time. Is that what you're saying? I could be wrong. Always having to be happy and peppy and taking care of their feelings and their outbursts. I'm sorry, but you seem to be attacking men for having feelings. It's like, this is the weird thing with what I've seen online with feminism. It's like, men need feminism because they can't talk about their feelings. But when men do talk about their feelings, oh, shut up, neckbeard. We deserve to be paid for putting up with your feelings. Draw a line, decide where you're gonna stand on it, and stop being hypocrites for once. All right. And let's continue. Whether that's in a work environment, relationship, or friendship, it's a lot of work to just put up with what's been dealt out. So a man who is in absolute emotional turmoil is just this big burden that you have that you should be paid for. You have a lack of empathy and a lack of feelings, considering that you ought to be paid for your feelings. If anything, it's these guys who have got the emotional labour, but never mind. I think there are lots of overlaps between emotional labour and abuse. Oh, for fuck's sake. Having to navigate around men, having to dance around their hotspots, dance around what they're going to be laying out on you, it's a ton of work. It's wearing and draining. Oh, God. Grow up, love. If you can't help your friends' emotional well-being, then don't help them. Just be that psychopath that you're coming across as. And she says, and God forbid you say something to them that is trying to put them in check. That's also work, having to tell them off or hold it in. See, this is so much projection, it's unbelievable. Or being responsible for educating them. Exactly. Oh, fuck off. And there's some video that I'm not going to cover because it's nothing. It's not even relevant. When I shared the hashtag Give Women Your Money sentiment on social media, one woman got very upset in particular. She argued that men do emotional labour all the time too. This woman, I want to marry her so badly. She's so correct. All my best friends are guys, that sort of thing. You see, they see this as a bad thing, but a lot of women do have all my best friends are guys because they don't really like socialising with women. I don't see it as a bad thing. I'll socialise with both genders, but I've seen it that, like, some women, they're kind of sick with all the petty politics when they hang out with women. So they think, like, let's just hang out with guys because there's not as much of that. And I guess, whatever. Each to their own. That's not a bad thing. And I can see where that woman's coming from. But never mind. There might be these individual instances of men performing great feats of emotional labour, but that's not the structure we live under. Oh, so it's just a minority of men have emotional labour. The rest of us, we don't have any feelings. We don't have to deal with the shit that you deal with. We live under a hetero-patriarchal structure, which is why we call this gender-based violence. No, you call it gender-based violence because you're feminists, and we don't live in a hetero-patriarchal structure. Because if we did, men would be getting paid for the emotional labour and taking advantage of all your hard work. But we don't. We take advantage of mainly men's work. But never mind. It's actually more gynocentric than it is, I don't know, I forgot what the male version of that is. But who cares? We live in a male-dominated world. No, we don't. And there are some areas that are male-dominated, but that does not necessarily mean it is a bad thing. And that's part of why there is so much interpersonal violence, and why the overwhelming perpetrators are men. Wrong. That's some sound effects for you guys. It's 50-50. You clearly have not done any research. You clearly have not bothered to put... oh, God. She hasn't bothered to put the effort into it. I mean, this is what Erin Pitsey was talking about. Domestic violence and violence in general is not a gendered thing. It is a human thing. We are a violent species. Every gender is violent. I'm not saying that all the individuals in it are violent, but it's a 50-50 split. Violence begets violence. If a woman hits a man and he's a victim, there is a chance that he could also become an abuser, which is kind of the science behind it, isn't it? Abusers have more chance. The abused have more chance of becoming an abuser, and so the cycle continues. And this putting it into gender-based boxes is allowing that cycle to continue because we're not dealing with a lot of the problems behind it. And you are part of the problem. And okay, who's got any bets for any weasel words and buzzwords? I've got some bets here, I've got some bets here. Let's continue with the article. We live in a male-dominated world, blah, 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 blah. These individual instances happen, but I'm not really worried about that. So basically she's not cared about men's well-being and welfare. Because, we're just this voice in her ear that's yapping that she'd rather not listen to. We don't have problems, we're men, we're the boss. Why would the boss have a problem? There's this thing called male privilege. There we go, people. There's the weasel word, the buzzword. I mean, there's been a few, but here's the big one. That's what I'm more worried about. So you're not worried about the fact that 50% of men are suffering under abuse. It doesn't matter who it's by. They've got their own emotional labour. They can't really express that emotional labour because every time they try to create some kind of safe space, because you're all for safe spaces. Everyone needs to have their safe space. Every time a man tries to, mainly white men, but I'm just going to group all men together for this. If men want to make their safe space so they can maybe have a beer, talk about man things. You always try and shut it down. You feminists don't like it, especially on campuses. You don't like having a men's rights group there. When you have like feminist groups and women's groups and gamers groups and shit, but we can't have a men's group? Apparently that's sexist. So you can see why these guys have such problems, that you don't really care about that. You have no empathy for these people. That's almost psychopathic. Who has all the fucking wealth? Who has all the power? Oh my god. One time you had to deal with a woman's emotional outburst. Poor you. That's just projection. That is a load of bullshit. I've never heard such prejudice. This whole hashtag movement is nothing but a hate group if you think about it. I mean, I know you feminists are like, you're from Gamergate. Yeah, but we're not a hate group. We actually care for the people outside of the movement. We care about people spending their money. We care about them, make sure they spend it correctly and making sure they're not getting abused by unethical journalists and people like you. You know, we don't have that prejudice that you have towards men and women too. That is just enough said. That was just pure prejudice coming out of her then. Could you give me some more specific examples of emotional labour? Acting as a therapist to men. You're not acting as a therapist, you're an emotional make weight. Never mind. Putting on a perky face for that. So basically what she's saying is that I don't like being helpful towards guys who have emotional problems. I hate them. I don't like them. They annoy me. Are you trying to say that women put it on? They don't really care about their closest mate's problems? That is actually quite sexist in its own way. Having to be a yes person. Nobody's asking you to be a yes person. This is so fucking stupid. Always saying, oh yes, and you're so right. Oh, so great. Absorbing whatever kinds of outbursts they have. It's mostly always on. You see, men always do that. It's men who have to say, oh, you're right. Yeah, great. Yeah. I've had to do that all the time. My dad used to do it all the time. There's a reason why male comedians talk about that. It's a horrible, stupid... It's not horrible, it's just overused. It's a cliche joke, but there's a reason why they say that all the time. But never mind. Let's continue. And having a happy face on and nodding. God, this is such projection. Oh, God. Emotional labour is also hiding your feelings. Not challenging, not voicing your displeasure for whatever reason. Just keeping things inside. That's what men do. Yet you try and tell us to be open, yet when we're open you tell us to shut up. Like, you don't care. Oh my god. That's a lot of work, to swallow your feelings in fear. Like, if I voice this, things are going to get really bad for me in this environment. What? It wears down your self-esteem, your sense of self, your confidence, all sense of your being. This is heavy. It's heavy to do this and have to do this all the time. Oh, shut up. So basically, you want money because you don't like helping men with their emotional problems. Because you don't like men. Is that it? You just want to be paid for your prejudice. Fuck you. Should we just stop? Stop playing therapist. Stop staying quiet. Stop doing the labour we aren't paid for. Not at risk to opting out. You see, there's a reason why MGTOW exists. It's because of people like you. People who are horrible to not just men but to women. You make them all look bad. And these guys, they look at you and they're kind of scared in a sense. I'm not speaking for anyone. They think, you know what? I could, have a reasonably normal life. Have kids, have a wife. Or I could not risk the bad things that happen by having that kind of life and just have a job, hang out with my friends, male and female. You don't have to just, turn your back on women and just play video games and just do what I want to do. People like you is the reason why there is the sexodus, as what Milo Yiannopoulos says. That's why. Anyway, time is pressing and I have to continue. There are a lot of risks. Turning back to hashtag give your money to women, a lot of the risks are monetary risks. If you don't do this emotional labour anymore, you could lose your job or your relationship. No, you couldn't. What? So by talking to someone about their feelings, you could lose your job? That's bullshit. Or literally losing everything because of all this stuff is expected. No, it's not expected. What the hell? I don't know how much of this is lies, how much of this is truth, and how much of this is hyperbole. This is just a load of bullshit. Oh, God. It sucks, because a lot of the time women are told, and men have this in their heads, apparently we all have things in our heads. Apparently she can read our minds. She knows exactly what men are saying, and knows exactly what men are thinking, and that we're all just sexist. She knows fuck all about what I'm thinking. She can't get in my head. Is she trying to get us done for thought crime now? That we're just inherent caregivers and nurturers, here to just take care of you. No, most men don't think that. There's been a poll. Most people, when they're in a relationship, prefer to split it 50-50. But if, say, if a kid has been born, obviously, things change a bit. More men think that, well, the woman's probably better at being a parent than I am, so I think she should hang out with the kids more, and I'll just provide. You know, each to their own. If you want to keep it 50-50 even after a child is born, go ahead, whatever, you know. Men are caregivers and nurturers too. There's a reason why there's two parents, right? You know? I mean, if that was the case, how come we have so many good gay couples who have adopted children and they're brilliant parents? They're carers and nurturers too. Or maybe I'm digressing there. I don't know. But, you know, I'm just saying. It's not... Women aren't just seen as caregivers and nurturers anymore. There are a lot of men who are now stay-at-home dads, but you're just ignoring them because that doesn't fit the agenda, does it? And let's continue. Here to just take care of you. So when that gets disrupted, especially in an emotional sense, that's when this is going to be when empires crumble. Oh, the patriarchy is an empire that's going to crumble any day now. I mean, we've been at it for 30 years, but it's going to crumble eventually. When that is realised and women cut it off, truly, it's going to be when empires crumble. So basically, WGTOW. You want a WGTOW movement. You basically want women going their own way, right? This is what hashtag give your money to women is. WGTOW. Go ahead, be WGTOW. MGTOW don't need you. But anyway, let's continue. Because this emotional labour is so expected in any interaction where men interact with women. No, it's not. Most men don't want to air their grievances to people. A lot of men do like to bottle it in and you know, just deal with it. That's what we're expected to do. No, what? So you expect me, if we were friends, and I just came up to you and talked about the weather, you'd be expected to come under this emotional labour? What the fuck? That is a load of bullshit. This idea started with Bardo Smith. Oh yeah, no, fuck this. Men get so much from us. They drain us for our knowledge, our support, our validation, our attention. No! If you want this, hand over your fucking money. Give me your cash right now, if you want all of this. No, I refuse to give you my money. I refuse to give you money that you don't deserve. Being an emotional help to a person is free for a reason. You cannot put a price on that. Therapists are professionals. They're meant to be paid. You are not therapists. You are just normal, everyday women experiencing life. You do not have to be paid for the shit that happens to everyone. I have had to help people who have emotional stress. I don't expect to be paid for it. I just expect to get some kind of, I don't know, feel good about it, that I helped a person. That's what I expect. I expect pheromones to be coming out of that person's head, feeling that they feel a bit better and they've got stuff off their chest and they know that someone is there for them. That's what I want. With you, because you clearly have no empathy, you clearly just have no feelings at all for anyone, apart from you only see dollar bills there. You want money. You're a psychopath. You are a textbook psychopath right now. This all ties in so seamlessly with the grim reality of being a woman on the internet. Oh, for fuck's sake. Girl on internet syndrome is already in effect as well. I can't believe this interviewer she's not even trying to debate this woman, because it's just an echo chamber. You know, it's like, yeah, you go, girl. And let's continue. I go on Twitter enough to know that men are very angry. Men are not very angry. Most men don't care about this. Most of them are neutral. Most of women are neutral. Very, very angry. But how do you know men are very, very angry? Maybe they're angry for a reason, because you keep pissing them off. I don't know why. All the ideas about why we should be getting financial compensation, between talking about violence and abuse, between talking about how women teach them things every day. Women aren't just teachers. There are male teachers too. One of my best teachers ever was male. But never mind. Between taking care of them and them demanding things from us. You're not our mothers. You're not my mum. I love my mum very dearly. She's helped me a lot. But you can't pay her for that. I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to sound like I'm being a dick to her, but being a parent and being a parent and teaching a kid all this stuff and looking after them, that's I don't know. You can't pay that. I just don't know how to explain it to you, because I think you don't want it to be explained. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I give in with you. I give in. It's clear you just don't give a shit, you know. A compensation for being a human being. Brilliant, you know. I demand my compensation. The whole spectrum. There was a lot of anger. in a bigger structural sense, the idea behind hashtag give your money to women is how we also fix things like the wage gap and wage inequality. This is how you literally shift capital. No, that's not how you shift capital. You hand it all over for the things that we expect women to do that they are unpaid for. We expect men to do the same things, or slightly different. Men have emotional labour. I don't. Stupid. Talk about capitalism and exploitation of labour. This is it. Oh, fuck off. You are a capitalist. That is a textbook capitalist thing, to make money off of feels. If someone could actually do that, they'd be the richest person in the world. And that's exactly what you want. I can see through you. I can see through you, to quote the horrors. I can see through your charade, love. You're not interested in women's well-being. You're just interested in lining your pockets. Like I said, I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke gamers, alright? Vladimir Putin. If you're learning from a woman online, this is one of those many Twitter things, by the way. If you're learning from a woman online consistently, in any way, find out how to donate to her for this unpaid labour. Hashtag give your money to women. No, I don't think so. No, thank you. And finally, we reach the end of the article. On that note, are there other groups that are doing unpaid emotional labour? For instance, people working in the service industry for minimum wage. They're getting paid already. God, they still have to grin and ask us how our day is going. That is, they're already getting paid for that. That comes part and parcel with their wage. It's a shit wage because since the end of the Industrial Revolution and the end of industrial powers, we're now service powers. I mean, my city, Manchester, is a testament to that. We were probably the biggest industrial powerhouse for 100 years, and now we're mainly a service-based city. This is the new Victorian era, people. These are the factory workers of the 21st century. You know, they're getting paid for that. Their emotional labour is already being paid by the hour. But let's continue. Let's see what Chief Elk has to say about this. I definitely think that if we understand history, which you know nothing about, yeah, and you may say, what do you know about history? I will wave to you in your face my degree. I know my history. So let's continue. The basis of capitalism as we know it in the US came from the exploitation of indigenous and black people, and specifically indigenous and black women, Asian people, Irish Catholics, English Protestants, people who were indentured servants, etc. Everyone were exploited by the powers that be to make your country. Initially by the British, and the French, and the Spanish, and the Mexicans, and the Russians in Alaska, and even the indigenous tribes were doing it too. In Africa, they were selling the slaves to the Europeans, who would then sell it to other Europeans. And, you know, before any of that happened, do you honestly think that Native Americans were living in peace and harmony? No, they weren't. They were fighting over territory and resources as much as any other human has in the history of the world. But I don't want to get into that too much. But you don't know your history. Looking at these frameworks is important. When we're talking about money, capitalism, look, you can go off and try and make yourself look like you're some kind of socialist communist, but you're just a capitalist like everyone else. Alright? You want to make money on emotion. That's what you want. Stop trying to toe this social justice line. Just admit you're a businesswoman. You're a gold digger. And then we can, oh wait, I ain't saying she's one, And we can all just go on our merry way. Be honest. Okay? To specifically look at how the conditions of black and native people still enable the United States and this whole Western economy to be the powerhouse it is. No! Stop trying to bring these things that have nothing to do with your extortion and try and justify it. You can't use history that way. I refuse. I have been given by society a degree of history, okay? I know I worked hard for it, but I've been given a responsibility to make sure that history is not tampered with, to make sure that it is not used for bad. That is how I view my degree I'm not an historian, I'm a qualified historian, but I still have that view that history cannot be tampered with, it cannot be used for what you're using it with. I refuse to let you do this. You cannot just sit there and use history which has been plucked out of the textbooks. You have no idea what it all means, but you just use it It's just a buzzword to you how to formulate his argument. You're like a politician. A politician is taught to present themselves in a way. They're taught to speak a certain way, to hold their hands in a particular way, to say certain things at the right moment, to get a response from people, to get votes. You are exactly the same as a system that you are trying to destroy. In fact, you are the system. You are the establishment. Stop trying to be these victims, these people who are the rebels coming out. No, you're not. You're like the religious right. You know, when they're saying, "Oh, religious people are getting oppressed. We can't. Gay rights is ruining our right to religion." No, it's not. You're exactly the same as them. You're a faithist. That's what you are. Anyway, let's continue with this last bit, and then we'll end the video. It's been going on far too long now. Where did it start? How did it get this way? We have to look at the position of women of colour in the context of completely unregulated domination and exploitation in this capitalist system. So basically, you know, you are exploiting the capitalist system to your advantage. Stop being a hypocrite. A way to fix that is to shift the direction of capital, to start reversing things. That is not, people, how we redistribute the wealth. That's not what socialism is. That's not even how liberalism is. That's not how it works. That's not what Bernie Sanders argues. That's not what H.G. Wells argued. It's not what any of the big socialism people who actually changed the world, right? Who changed countries. You know, that's not what they argued for. They argued for equality. What you're arguing for is inequality. And that, my friends, is the difference between these capitalist, fascist, whatever you want to call them, scumbags, and us. This has been ChowMan93. Like and share the video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see the 100 subs live stream whenever I sort that out, once I hit 100. Until next time, I will see you all later.